Hi, this is Chad Carson, and in this video I want to talk to you about a question that I think nags at and befuddles a lot of real estate investors. And maybe you also get this question from other people outside the real estate investment business, like real estate agents or, of course, your sellers. Why would anyone sell me a house that cheap? So this might be a question you even have trouble with in your own mind. Maybe you're thinking, what I'm doing here as a real estate investor isn't adding any value to any of the people I'm buying houses from. So how can you feel good about what you're doing? And so I've of course struggled with this in my own business of buying a lot of houses, and I've sat in front of a lot of sellers. But what I've learned is that there actually is some value, even if the price is lower. And that I've had lots of happy situations where I made a profit, and this person who sold me the house was very happy and accomplished their goal. So I want to talk to you about that and show you about an example of how I've sort of come to explain this to people and think about it in my own mind. And I'm going to start with an example, of course. And here's a house in my neighborhood that I buy in, and actually nearby where I live, that is a foreclosure house. I followed all the way through the foreclosure. I did not get it at the foreclosure sale, but I'm hoping to buy it as an REO once it comes back on the market. And it's a two-story house, 2,000 square feet on the first couple of floors, but then it's also got a basement with an apartment. And so it's a big house, but in a neighborhood that with that kind of size could be in the low 200s, $200,000 house once it's fixed up. But it needs a lot of work, and they had dogs living inside. It has landscaping is really rough in the backyard. There's you got the rip up a lot of the flooring, maybe even the subfloors. And do a lot of updating. The layout's really bad, so there's a lot of work to be done. I would say about $50,000 worth of repairs to make it like a very brand new house with lots of bells and whistles. So that's sort of the background on it, and maybe I'll buy this one, and maybe I won't. But I'm going to show you the numbers on how I think this one could work. If I were sitting down talking to the banker who has this house, or if it was just an individual seller, I was sitting down talking to them, and I would explain that up front, I would say, what I do is one of a couple different options you have selling houses. And there's of course the traditional option, which is listing your house on the market with a realtor and them trying to find a homeowner typically to move into the house. And I'm just going to tell you up front, comparing that option to me, that the benefit of working with me is not that you're going to get the best price. I'll just be very upfront with you, because there are some other benefits. And so the best price, you will have to do some work and go through some other negatives in order to get your best price listing it with a realtor. And so that with me though, that if you're going to net a lower price, why would I even want to do that? Well, one is the timeliness. So if you need to move really quickly, that's something I can do. Or sometimes people need to move slower. So I've had people who wanted to wait a year or two, but they wanted to go ahead and know it was sold now, maybe even go ahead and close on it, and then wait until they found another house, they built another house, or whatever, but they needed the capital now to have the certainty of doing that. And that I'm going to go ahead and add that as another benefit. It's actually one of the most important benefits, is that my option is certain versus the uncertainty of putting it on the market. You might make the best price going out there, but if you want to know for sure what you have, and there are all sorts of certain situations in life that you need more certainty than the fear of the uncertainty, and there might be an opportunity to do better going with the uncertainty. But if you're certain you can do this right now, and you have some other reasons and other things you want to do with your life or other opportunities, you can take the certainty and move on. And so we provide that: the timeliness, the certainty, liquidity, so you can get your cash versus having to wait for somebody to get a loan and then it fall through. We have real money, cash money, or my private investors have cash money, and we can write you a check and we can close really quickly, maybe 7 days, or if you need to wait again, we can wait. Also low hassle, so you're not going to have to show the house, and if you're living there, have to all times of the weekend have somebody tramping through your house and doing showings and having it ready to show all the time. You show it to us one time, let our inspector look at it, and we're done. And then as is sale, that's one of the big ones. In this particular case, because it needs a lot of work, you can leave it exactly as it is. And sometimes when people inherit houses, there's all sorts of stuff, after they get their valuables out, there's just other stuff that needs to be dealt with. We'll take it in as is condition. So all of these added up have a lot of value. And then really the crux of any negotiation is how much value this stuff has. But if you're sitting on the table with another person, you've got to explain these things, and then before you get to the numbers, and show that these are valuable. People do want these, but the question is going to be how much they're willing to pay for it. Are they willing to take a lower price, and how much of a lower price in order to get these things? All right, so then eventually I might move to the price. I will move to the price when I'm sitting down with somebody, And again, I'm trying to educate them. I'm trying to be a teacher. That's really my best role. I'm not trying to sell something to them, but I want to educate them on some options. And very often they aren't familiar with what the real numbers are. And so I try to do a net price comparison. And it's not important what you actually get the total price. And this is include all of us. If any of us are selling a house, the total price, the gross price isn't important. It's what we actually net, what we actually take home at the end of the day. And so I try to help the seller look at what their take home might be. And in this particular situation with this house, they might have a perception that the value is higher, and it was actually listed at 180 at one point. But I would tell them, I'll show them some comps, and I would want to put together a little comparable report. And comps can vary all over the place. But I might come to a number and say, I think conservatively, if this house were like new, really nice with granite countertops and all sorts of hardwood flooring and everything looking great, and I'll later show them a list of the things I think would be upgrades. And I wouldn't want to put the house down, but I would want to show maybe some pictures of some of the houses that sold for the higher prices and some brand new houses, and just let them compare those color pictures with what the house right now, what the house looks like right now. And it's very obvious then that this kitchen is not the same as that kitchen. This layout's not the same as that layout. This flooring is not the same. All these light fixtures. People don't have a concept of the kinds of things you do when you fix a house up. And so you've got to have pictures to show what that is. All right, so you start, let's say you go with $200,000 and you provide some evidence why it's that way. Then you've got to take out sales costs. And people don't usually run these numbers. But if you're going to hire a good realtor to sell your house, and most houses, if you're going to get top retail value, are sold through the MLS, through real estate agents. That's what the statistics show that. And so I do the same thing. I list it on the market if I'm trying to get top value. And so you might put forward the number that 6% is what a good realtor might want in your market right now. And so 6% of 200,000 is 12,000, and then you might have some closing costs, and you could compare that to the fact that builders often pay closing costs for their buyers. And if you want to get the top dollar, you're going to have to be prepared, or at least understand that you might have to do that. And that would be $6,000. And then holding costs. These are things like principal and interest, utilities, your tax and insurance, and of course your mortgage payment. And if they don't have a mortgage, then that might be a little bit different. But I do include that and show that there's going to be some holding costs. And these are all rounded numbers, estimates, but I'm just trying to get them the idea. And then there's wiggle room. And everybody knows, and especially in a softer market, that if you think the full price is this, sometimes if you just want to sell it, and they're going to be negotiating with you. In the softer market, this is even more of an issue. But you leave some wiggle room in there too. So that that plus or minus, maybe that's there, maybe it's not, but it's possible they would net $170,000 from selling it. That's about 15% off of the total price. And so that we haven't even gotten to the repairs yet, though. And so what I would show them is a list, and it would be even better if I had some bids from contractors. It would take some time to do that, but it would make my case even better. And so I'd have some bids showing that $50,000, and here are the things I would want to do to make it like a new house and make it show so that I could sell it for the top price. And I would say these are the things you should do if you wanted to sell the house for that top price, whether you're working with me or not. You can use this information. And so I would say, so you notice 170 minus 50,000 equals 120,000. So that's the important number for you to realize, is that you could possibly net that amount. Now you want to compare that to, now if let's say I make an offer at 85,000. And here's the main thing that you're working on and you want them to look at, is that there's about a $35,000 difference between these two. And remember, I said up front, my benefit is not that you're going to get the highest price. What I say is you have a couple main options here. One, you can go do all the work yourself, and you could be the entrepreneur and try to make the extra money, and you could net 120. Or, number two, you sell it to me as is and let me work on trying to make that money. And it might be I do better. It might be that I do worse. I've had deals where I did worse than I thought I was going to do. And I could spend all my time and energy and effort and not sell it for 200. It could sell for 180, and so I make less money. But whether you want to take the risk, and remember the uncertainty. Being an entrepreneur is uncertain. So if you want the uncertainty and you want to take your energy and effort and time to manage contractors and do all that and manage the realtor when they're selling it, then you could make more money. If you want to sell it as is, here's what I would do. And so that's really the crux of the decision you want to help them make. And so I hope you can see that there's some value to working with an investor. There are actual benefits, and you are somebody who's in sales. You have to actually go out and educate your seller and show them what their options are. And I've found that putting the options on the table like that, not trying to sell them one way or the other, but saying, here they are, what would you like to do, has been not only a pleasant experience if it works out and they say yes, but even if they say no, I think they appreciate the fact that I've tried to take the effort to educate them and help them out, and we have a better relationship in the end. So that's my stab at showing you why would anyone sell me a house at a cheaper price. I hope you'll work on that for yourself, and I'll have other videos that show how to put all this together and fix and flip and sell houses or buy houses as rentals to help you learn how to do that for yourself. See you soon.